Hey everybody, it's Adam from Tested, and this sequence of cards is just that. It is a sequence from Aardman Animation's new film, Early Man. And what you might not realize is that a film like this is so time-consuming to produce that before a single character is built or a single set is constructed, the entire film is drawn and then edited so that they know precisely what they're doing. And it's drawn by a series of talented artisans in the storyboard department. Ash Body is going to show us exactly how that process works. Ash, tell me what your job is.
I am a story artist here, and basically that means we draw the film out before we shoot it. So it's a bit backwards to live action in that we edit the film before it goes to the floor to be shot. So
you plot out every single shot and the layout of the scenes in drawing form, yes, long before they build any sets or build any characters.
Yeah, before that, and then we quite heavily work with Nick, so he will sit there and brief us on a sequence, and there'll be a page of script, and he'll talk through it, and that's quite an important part. And I remember at the beginning of the project, sitting with him, and he told me a story about when he was young, and he was at school learning football, and he'd do a throw-in, and the ball landed at his feet, so he picked it up and threw it back to someone, and that was kind of the mentality of Doug, our main character, in that he didn't really know what he was doing. And so that was a story from Nick's life that he just told me, and I was going, this is better than the script. I'm gonna make a note of this, try and get it into the film somewhere. And it did, it ended up as a gag in the film. Doug, he runs onto the field with a ball and drops it because everyone shouts handball, and he has no idea what he's doing. So that's directly from when Nick told me about his experiences at school.
So really you are literally physically drawing almost every single or multiple versions of every single shot of the film.
Yeah, it's like in live action, the actor does a lot of takes.
Right.
And then you take all the footage. And so we are just doing all the takes and all the possible versions of the story. And there are some versions where characters are very different and they've developed over time, and a lot of stuff in there that has been taken out and sometimes repurposed, comes back in, and lots of different versions of stuff. So
your drawings are then taken by the editor and cut into a sequence that equates to the film. I'm assuming in the beginning you don't have the final actor's voice performances. Is that right?
No, we do a lot of scratch ourselves.
Oh, so you record that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got to play Jürgen, the German, for a long time, and I was Dino, the referee, running around, which is quite fun in the recording booth because you're going, handball, handball. We have that a bit differently, just a bit.
When you get the final voice actors' performances, that I would assume that changes sometimes how the scenes play out. Is that true?
It does, yeah. They start to bring the performance to it, which is because I'm not the best actor in the world, but the guys we get, they are really top quality guys. So they come in, they give their performances, and sometimes you hear an inflection, or you'll have seen something if we get a little recording of them doing something, like a small nuance they do, and you can build that into the performance of them. But I remember Eddie Redmayne came in here and he was talking to us, and he admitted to all of us that he's not the funniest guy in the world, and that it's like, but when you watch it on the screen, he's really funny. So there's the jokes there, and I know they do a lot of takes of the voice as well. Yeah. So they put it all together, and it's all a massive combination of everyone on the film, really. We do the basic broad acting in here because we don't really want to animate, because the guys on the floor over there, they're world-class animators.
Right.
The voice talent, they really bring the performance to it. So all the sets, the lighting, everything comes together, and it's all kind of based on this bit at the beginning, which is we're trying to get something which is in Nick's head onto paper so everyone else can see it.
And what's the reason you guys are drawing it long before you guys start production? What does that aid production in?
That gets us ahead of them so we can sort the story out a lot beforehand, because you don't want to be shooting stuff that you might not use in the end.
Right, that won't work within the narrative.
Yeah, and so it's really trying to find a film that works so that you don't end up shooting lots of B-roll or irrelevant things.
What level of detail are you doing in the drawing?
It varies, If we have to work fast, it can tend to get quite loose, and a lot of my thumbnails are very, very loose. This is just figuring out the ending of the film here. So this is a lot for me, and I'm going through going, do these shots work? It's an action sequence, they've scored a goal, time's ticking down, everyone celebrates, yeah. Do we need shots of the crowd, scoreboard? And a lot of these I will have eliminated, a lot of self-editing goes into this bit.
And this is literally, this isn't a printout, this is you just drawing on large sheets of paper.
Yeah, with a Sharpie, and just trying to get my broad strokes in, and so that I know they might not be much to look at for a lot of people, but they might just look like scribbles, but this is all the information that I need to think to do my job, really.
All right.
So it's like a notepad without having to make any notes. And then there's other kinds of thumbnails that I like doing as well. So this is one right after I get a brief. I'm searching around a lot here. It's looking
when you say you get a brief, this is you sitting down with Nick to talk through how a scene should pace and what the key elements of the scene are.
And what's important in the sequence. If there's something that's really not important, you just kind of get past it quick, because there could be something else. Like No Country for Old Men, I always use the coin scene in that, where he's flipping the coin. There's a bit played out beforehand, but that coin is important. So they put the camera on it, and so that's kind of the important things that I look for in a scene. This one, a lot of it was the cave paintings, and they're all highlighted with light, but there was no set design for this one, so I went and was trying to figure out this path through a cavern. Are there bridges? How far is it going to be? Can I get some funny cut angles in there? How much of the screen do I want to close off?
How much granularity does Nick give you when he's giving you a brief? Does he sometimes say, I think there should be this kind of shot here, or does he say the pacing? What do you get in terms of direction?
It varies from sequence to sequence. Sometimes it's really open and you get a lot of free reign. With this one, there wasn't a layout designed. He had some ideas and he drew some very quick thumbnails for me. Ones like this, where they were walking like a Lord of the Rings style, Mines of Moria bridges. Yes. And that was, I was like, I want it to feel cavernous and big, and like there's this epic space underneath where all the cavemen used to live. And it leads down to the history of the tribe, where they did the cave paintings, and Nuth lights it all up and shows Doug what they really were, and Doug's awestruck by it. And so all of this is kind of trying to find the
drama.
Yeah, the drama in it, really.
Now, once you've done this kind of rough sketch, and it's amazing because it's a sketch both in terms of the layout of the sets, but also through the time of the script. The next stage, I'm assuming you do some electronic drawing.
Yes. Sometimes we scan these, but a lot of the time I just pin them up on the board for reference. And so I set my canvas to grey, and then I know I tend to block in with a really fat brush where I want the character to be. So I know he's going to be there, so I've looked at my thumbnail and know I'm going to have something like this. And that's because it's quick. I know how large he's going to be. I'm not getting refined in any particular detail at the moment. And then take another. Terrible with shortcuts, so I never really use them. And then I know he's looking over here because he's just seen something. So I can plot in his face. He's moving fast, so his hair's zipping away. And this is pretty much how we do our rough drawings.
Wow.
And then, so that's kind of the quick version. You get that done, and because you're searching for expressions and small things like that. And then I know I'll write a note on it, and then I'll talk through this with other people in the department, because you never know. It's the hard thing about jokes is you tell yourself a joke and you don't really know if it's funny.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't know. So you tell someone else, and if they laugh, it's funny. And so we'll do a lot of pitching to each other like that. And then from this, I know I want him to look that way now. So he's staying roughly in the same place. So he's looked up. He's going to see something.
And the grey gives you a reference point so that it's a head turn.
So it keeps the volume the same size, so I know his head's staying roughly in that space. He's still moving fast, so his hair is peeling back behind his head. And then he sees something. So now I've just lowered that one down the opacity a bit. And he's shocked by it, so his eyebrows might go up a bit. Might draw the whites of his eyes in.
You are you are hitting the main gestures of the animated joke.
Yeah, and These aren't necessarily the expressions that the animator will use.
Right.
They are the ones that are the clearest to tell the story, and then the animator can use a whole other set, but he will look at this and understand the point of the scene through a few drawings, so that when he comes to, gets the luxury of movement and 150 frames to make it come to life.
Wow.
He can then bring it back. So we use layer comps to kind of sort all of the layers, how Photoshop works. And so now Doug is zipping along, and he looks up and goes,
wow.
So we've got that quick head turn. Seen something. Per day, a good speed after we've gone through our thumbnails and kind of laid everything out, roughed it out. It was about 50 to 70
per day.
Per day is, I consider that a decent speed to be going. Some days you do less if it's a more complicated scene.
Yeah.
Action sequences can take a long time because there's choreography involved in them, and even though you try and avoid it, you do put little bits of coverage between each shot so that the editor has a bit of leeway to, if someone is going to kick the ball, they'll kick the ball in close up, and then when you have wide, you do the kick the ball again, so they can choose the cutting point.
Right.
Yes, but in the course of the film, pushing towards 100,000-ish.
Wow. Okay, so I just have this, I'm going to go back to your origin story. Like, is the job listing for your job, we need someone who can draw 100,000 drawings in 2 years?
It's a bit longer than 2 years. I've been on Early Man for 3.5 years.
Oh, wow.
So, but there's a whole
working and reworking scenes within this department.
Over and over. It's there's a whole department of us, and there's 4 of us working on the film, and there's a lot that gets thrown away. Well, not thrown away, it just gets reused and kind of, it doesn't become irrelevant. The fact that you did it, it's almost like you're making the mistakes so that you're eliminating all the possibilities down to just what it could be.
Because once they're shooting on stage, they don't have the luxury of trial and error. You're doing all the trial and error for the jokes, hopefully, here in this part of the process. And
it is, it's just, if there's 100 things it could be, we will get rid of 99 of them, and then you have the one thing left. We're not precious with any of our drawings. Like, I'm fully prepared, these 3 now, I could pitch them to Nick, and he goes, oh, the expression's wrong. You just go, brilliant. And I spent, 25 seconds drawing it.
Do you have an example of a more complex scene, like an action sequence, and how that might, how that lays out?
Yep, because afterwards we go on to, we'll do this, run through it, and then we tidy them up a bit. So this is the actual sequence as it turned out. It was just a quick one. When Doug falls into the changing room, and so he strays in.
Oh, wow.
Bar soap. Sees a football suit go past him. Looks up. Screen shakes. Camera pans over, just a pair of legs sticking out the shower curtain. Doug's there. Looks up. And then you got the character Hoogle Grabber who goes, huh? And then Doug looks up and goes, hello. But that was the first pass of that joke, and then what happens in the story quite a lot as well is I was unable to do the second pass of this one because I was busy on another sequence. So Mike, one of our other story artists, took this and reworked the end of the joke. So now there's a shot from Hoogle Grabber's point of view looking down at Doug between his legs, which conveniently crops out a certain area. And Doug's looking up and gives him a little wave, and that kind of landed the joke at the end of this. And he puts his hand up and goes, ooh.
And there's 4 of you in this department?
On this film, yes, there's 4 of us, yeah. So we keep the team smaller here than other studios, but it's everyone, you could give a sequence to any of us, and hopefully we're all so together with the character that it doesn't matter who you give it to, we'll all be roughly same ballpark in what we'll present back to Nick for approval.
And you're continuing to rework scenes right up until the time that those scenes are being shot?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes up until a couple of weeks before the last shot, there's always a last man standing.
Yeah.
So other people move on to other projects, and you're the guy who's there going, I'm still on Early Man. You're kind of waiting for shots to come in and little changes to be made, and sometimes you could suddenly have a big rework on your hands if they go, the end, we want to change the end of it, we want to change a scene in the middle, and you're the guy that has to do it because you're the one that's left. But you're a lot quicker at drawing the characters at the end of a production than you are at the beginning. You know them so well in their head as well. Like what would he do in certain situations? It's not
right.
You stopped kind of exploring for the character, because by that point we're shooting and the animators have done their tests, and it comes back to us, and you look at the work that they do, and it just makes it funny again, because sometimes you lose that sense of funny when you see a joke the 200th time and you're the one that came up with it. You're going, I'm just not laughing at this anymore. Then it goes to the floor, animator animates it, you watch it in the rushes, you're going, it's brilliant.
And there must be a time when you get to see an animator's refinement of your joke, and it helps you write the next joke in the sequence that you're working on.
Yeah. Or they'll do something with a character and you go, that's brilliant, that's really good performance. How can I build that into my next scene? And the character just becomes clearer and clearer the further on you go. So it's like, we've given them a springboard, they go and do their work, and then that just inspires you. There's always, I find, a lull in production where I want to work on this at the beginning, and it goes up and up and up, but before the animators come in, you kind of get that plateau where you're going, are we doing the right thing? And then the shoot starts, and just as you're starting to go, I'm not sure we're doing the right thing, you see the first test that they do with the puppets, and you go, oh, that's amazing. And then you're starting to go all the way back up again, and everyone just, so reinvigorates you to work on it. And
it's fascinating how organic the process remains, even as you guys are continuing to refine and refine and refine.
Yeah. Another thing that helps us figure out as well, sometimes you can, because we deal a lot with cinematics, if a set hasn't been designed, we just, it's a blank canvas, and we don't always have all the time in the world to design a certain set. So the changing room, I just kind of went on Google quickly and found loads of change rooms. I was going, what do they look like? Okay, there's lockers for players, and there's showers and baths, and okay, so quick design of that, quick design, and do it in. Then the art department takes it, designs the set, and when the set is built, so you can walk around it and you can go, there's a pillar there. I reckon I could get a nice shot from here.
Right. So you're looking, and that's that's really cool.
So then it comes back, and you go, I'll quickly redo some boards because I've thought of something that just helps tell the story a bit better. So it was, I shot it wide, and there was nothing in the foreground, and Doug comes in, and now there's some pillars in there, and it gives you a sense of space, and that he's kind of entered a different area. It just feels a little bit different to having a wide open space. It's more confined, and it kind of restricted him in a different way, and I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't been able to go and speak with the guys in the art department after they designed it, and go on the set and have a look at it with my own eyes.
Is there a point when there is an entire cut of the film in just these drawings, and then slowly they start putting in the shots, the things that have been completed?
Yeah, we go through, I think, 4 or 5 versions when it's just pictures.
Right.
We try, and the aim is to get it done every 3 or 4 months, a pass of the film. So one pass, and everyone sits down and watches it.
And make a whole crap ton of notes.
Lots of notes. Because the first one is, you get a lot of sequence-itis. So the first sequence is here, second sequence is here, third sequence is here. And I think it's because when you sat and edit, you look at them in isolation as a sequence. And that comes across when you watch the film. You go, okay, there's definite cut points in, it feels like little episodes all stitched together. And so that's the first pass, and quite often it's strange ideas, and you're just testing them out, and then you go, right, I like that one, but not that one. Let's see if we can blend across these sequences. How can we start to make it all knit together? And so the second pass is ideas that you liked, refining the character. The first pass of this, the Bobnar, was hugely horrible. He's meant to be a father figure, but he came across as way too domineering and kind of just not very nice at all. And you didn't know that until you watched it all together. Yeah, it was really, because you think it's going to be one way, and then you watch it, and with all the scratch and everything, you see it on the run, you're going, that didn't land at all like we were expecting. And is that the way we've drawn it? Is that bound to win here, or is it the way it's been edited, or is it the scratch? I think it's a lot of a combination of everything. Yeah. And so you go, right, he's unlikable, we'll deal with that. Okay, so how are we going to change him for that? And that will have a knock-on effect on all the other characters and how they interact with him. So small changes sometimes have a huge snowball effect into the rest of the film. And you find things that are, those two characters, there used to be a character called Julio, and then there was the referee, Dino. And they both serve very much the same purpose. So why don't we just smash them together and make one? And so they became one character. And different parts of the characters. Nuth used to be a priest. He was the high priest of football. And then that became Julio, and Dino was still the referee, and Julio was like the priest. And it just seemed easier, instead of having all these characters, just meld them into one. And then Nuth became a governor, and he had his little lackey, priest, referee to deal with it. So that's things like that highlight, and you evolve.
Are there jokes that are in the very beginning of the process that you're just sure are so good they're going to be in the end, but they somehow don't make it?
Yeah. It's the ones that make Nick laugh straight away. Mike did one of them. It was when Doug falls out of the... he's in Nuth's quarters. He's snuck into the stadium. And he trips over. Hognob, you stay here. I'll go. Dunk into the glass, opens the glass, takes a step, and just falls down every single flapping chair in the stadium. Over the edge. And it just repeats over and over again. And it starts to get awkwardly funny, which I didn't even know existed, but it does. So, yeah, that's been in there. That was one of the first jokes. I think it was one of the first things that was shot as well. So yeah, they stay in. But some jokes slip around. They move from one place to another.
Oh, interesting. They might not end up in the scene that they were originally written for.
And sometimes scenes get smashed together as well. The message bird scene started as a contract negotiation between the star player and Nuth, and that all disappeared, but the message bird that came in during that sequence stayed and became this whole sequence around it. So on my filing system, I still have the original file sequence name that I called it, which was Contract Negotiations. But now you look in that folder and it's just Message Bird. And the sequence has been renamed Message Bird, but I just haven't updated my files. So if someone goes into my folder on the server and has a look at it, they're going, what is Contract Negotiation? What's in there?
When you're all done with the film, do you take a break from drawing? Are you spent? Or do you just keep on moving right on to the next thing?
Keep on drawing. I keep a sketchbook, so I go out every day and just draw people and things and stuff in the street. A lot of jokes come from there. You'll see someone do something, you go, that was funny. Make a note, put it in the film. So you do need time to decompress between films. I rolled straight from Early Man onto our new film, and part of me wishes I could have had just a couple of weeks off to go.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And then it's like you're downloading into the Matrix and everything goes white, and then you can reload again and everything is back in the world and you're ready to draw again.
What is it like at a film premiere when you finally see the film completed? Are you able to view it with new eyes, or is there part of you that's just deeply invested in all these little moments? I like the surprise of what the animator's done. So there's a certain point where I cut off going to see rushes. And so going to the premiere, I sat there and I know exactly what the story is going to be, but I want to see how they've realized it. But at the same time, it's so nerve-wracking because I took my parents with me to the Pirates one, and sat there just gripping my chair because I'm not enjoying it because I'm hoping everyone finds it funny. And you're going, this is great, but what's everyone else thinking? And it's it was the same for the Shaun premiere. You're really nervous. Is the audience going to laugh at my jokes? I don't know how this is going to play. Well, is the audience going to laugh at all of our jokes because everyone came up with them? And you sat there, and then they laugh in the places they're supposed to. But the one that really got me was in Shaun when there's a low bit in it, and everyone is silent. And you're going, I've got the exact reaction I want. No one is laughing, which is, and you feel like some kind of puppet master. Like you're going, am I controlling everyone in this room right now? With you put it on the screen, and the whole film, it gets the reaction that you want out of an audience, and that's when you know you've got it. And that's at the premiere. And you're going, they nailed it. But the hot film as a whole, we did it. I'm amazed how many times you guys make the film before you make the film.
Yeah, it is so backwards. It's like just editing before you've shot anything. I know some live action guys do it, like Hitchcock used to storyboard a lot, and the Coen brothers do bits and pieces of theirs, because it's quite an essential planning tool. It goes along, I know production use it to schedule stuff out, and the model makers will look at it for well, how many puppets are in that scene? And what do you mean there's 50 puppets in that scene? We can't build that many. And the animator's going, yeah, I can't animate 50 puppets in one shot. Yeah. And then the VFX guys go, why did you put water in there? It's like, why is water so hard to make? It's like the basis of life. But, yeah, so it's this massive tool that goes on to organize the project and becomes a lot more than just the storytelling.
Yeah.
So I'm very invested in the storytelling of it, but that's not, it goes on to become this massive tool. I'm sure Ben's shown you the boards where they cut them out and they plan everything. Yeah, it's something else. I remembered, another story. We bought tickets to just go see Shaun the Sheep, just to get a real audience reaction to it. Not an audience been invited, but just real world guys, like a week after it came out. And there was a kid in the audience and something happened. And he goes, oh no, Shaun's going to get it now. And you're going, this film has no dialogue in it, and there's a 6-year-old who got that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really satisfying.
Yeah. Small things that make you go, did it.
Ash, thank you so much for revealing this part of the process.
Yeah, it was great to meet you.
Really nice to meet you.
Great.